My name is Marc Freedman. I'm President and CEO of Freedman Financial in Peabody, Massachusetts. Our firm has been in business since 1968. No, I didn't start the firm in 1968. It was actually started by my father. I'm the son of a father-son practice. I've been doing financial planning since 1991, and we've been providing financial planning and investment advisory services to individuals and families on the North Shore since that period of time of 1968. Our focus today is a little bit different than the way in which financial planning and investment services were done back then. We take a very personal approach and a very customized approach to understanding everything about your financial life before ever offering any type of investment recommendation at all. Our focus today will be on retirement issues and critical money issues that impact seniors that they need to deal with today. Hi, my name is Marc Freedman. I am President and CEO of Freedman Financial, located in Peabody, Massachusetts. My father actually started the firm back in 1968. So we've been doing financial planning and wealth management on the North Shore for almost 45 years. It is amazing how the development of financial planning has woven itself into the healthcare world. There is no question about it. I mean, healthcare becomes more and more expensive every day. And as we even begin to turn the end of this election year, we may find it even more and more expensive, but who knows? And 4 years from now, it could be different, and another 4 years different from that. So planning for healthcare costs is one of the things that is a great mystery, but it's something that we do need to plan for, and we do need to have control of our money so that we can prepare appropriately so that all the options are available to us. But my talk today was focused on something totally different from healthcare. I thought I'd give you a little bit of some five fun facts about 5 critical money issues that I think retirees need to be thinking about today. I do a radio show every Sunday on 96.9, it used to be called 96.9 Bostontalks. It's now, I don't know if you listen to the station, but it's now News Talk 96.9. They just changed that on us 2 Sundays ago. So every Sunday from 4 to 5 o'clock, I do a live call-in radio show with my partner Marion Gilman, who should be here shortly. And we take calls from listeners. So I thought what I'd share with you is based on some of the numbers and the phone calls we've gotten and the conversations we've had in our offices. Here are some 5 important issues. Number 1 that retirees continue to forget about is understanding where everything is and what it's all worth. Many of you over time have collected, you started with like 1 box of some account. It might have been a CD, it might have been your 401k at work, but over time those boxes began to multiply, those stock certificates began to spread themselves out, everything began to get all over the place, and we've lost track of where everything is. And one of the major concerns that we're seeing, and we in our office, because my dad started the firm back in 1968, we average 12 deaths a year in our office. So we've gotten pretty good at the, if you will, the death business, in seeing how families and generations begin to transition assets from one to another. And what we've seen is the record keeping by some of these families and the ability to capture where everything is and what it's worth is horrible. Horrible, and it's producing a tremendous burden on the surviving spouse and to the next generation. Because think about this. I would guess that one person in your family pays all the bills in the house. Generally, that's how it works. And when one of you die, if you happen to be married, if one happens to die, is the survivor prepared to write the checks, to pay the bills, to make decisions on purchasing a car, to decide, does it make sense to come to Penguin Hall from the home that you're in today? Who will make those decisions? Are you prepared to make them independently? Well, one of the things that we've done that's unique in our practice is that we actually go with our clients to those locations to help them make informed decisions, because oftentimes the point is, I just don't know what questions to ask. And so perhaps we can be there as that sounding board for you. Number 2, many of you, I'm guessing just a couple of you are over the age of 70, just a couple. And at age 70, just a couple, right? Yeah. At age 70 and a half, you know many of you need to take what's called your required minimum distribution from your IRA. Well, for years, people have had CDs all over the place. Every bank you could imagine. Then they have investment accounts and brokerage accounts and annuities and all these things. But when it comes to 70 and a half, you need to take a minimum distribution. And did you know that if you take the wrong amount, if you don't take enough, the penalty is 50%. 50% on what you didn't take. Now, in the past, it's been something that could have been easily remedied. If you had a financial advisor, they were able to write a nice note to the IRS, so your accountant would write a nice note to the IRS saying, I didn't know, but that's changing because the IRS has just come down with a law. Well, a rule that they're said that they're going to follow. They basically said it's becoming way too difficult to get new laws passed in Congress in Washington. Perhaps we should enforce the laws that already exist. Isn't that a unique thought? We have the laws, let's enforce them. So if you are not taking your minimum distribution from your IRA, be prepared to pay that penalty, and the IRS will not be forgiving. So be sure that you know where all of that money is. Number 3, there's a lot of different organizations out there that are telling you all the reasons that you need to be setting up trusts. You don't, in many cases. Trusts are being way oversold for all the wrong reasons. If you're looking to hide your money or to completely get it out of your name and to not have any control of your money any longer, perhaps a trust is for you. But if it's simply to avoid probate, there are other ways to do that without having to pay the costs of establishing a trust. One simple way to do it is to go down to your local bank, to your brokerage house, whatever it might be, and establish what's called a payable on death account. Remember when you used to get the savings bonds, you'd get a TOD or a POD, used to be right there on the savings bond? Well, the way that probate works is probate only accounts for the items that don't have a beneficiary named. So your IRAs all have a beneficiary named. You had to. Any life insurance you owned had a beneficiary named. If you have a joint account, your surviving spouse is the beneficiary. But if it's just you alone, you have your own personal checking account, your own personal brokerage account, your own home in your name. Those are assets that are only in your name, and they would be subject to probate if you were to die. Only those assets. And all you need to do is add a different registration that says payable on death. It goes right to that person. No need for the trust, no need for the expense, no need for the rigmarole, unless you're looking to protect from the grave, perhaps, how the money is used by the next generation. I caution you on the overselling that's being done of trusts. Number 4, if you have a life insurance policy, a lot of people continue to tell me that they maintain their life insurance policy because they need a policy to bury me. I assure you, you do not need a policy to bury you, for the very simple reason that you'll be dead. Okay? And by the time the money comes out of the policy, that'll be 6 or 8 weeks from now. The funeral director's looking to be paid the day you go into the ground. So you don't need the policy to bury you. It is the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard. Now, if you think back, and this kind of ties into number 5, number 5 is, this is not your father's retirement. In that years ago, when you think about your parents, your grandparents passing away, what did they pass to the next generation? Chances are it was next to nothing. Unless there were trust accounts or whatever set up for you, chances are it was next to nothing, because mom and dad had a pension from somewhere that they worked. They might have had a CD or two, and they had a house. And back in the 70s or 80s or 60s, when they died, that house was worth $19,900. Maybe $21,900. Maybe $8,900. And that's what got passed on to the kids. So perhaps at that point, it made sense to have a life insurance policy. Today, what we're seeing in our practice is your kids are becoming the greatest beneficiaries of money that you've never used, and you're sacrificing your own retirement so that your kids will have something greater than you could have possibly imagined. Perhaps that's what you want, but perhaps it's not. If you're sacrificing your own retirement lifestyle Simply because you say, oh my God, CDs don't pay enough interest. My account doesn't pay enough dividends. You are providing an enormous inheritance and legacy to another generation who I assure you will spend it, and you're suffering. There are many different ways to rethink about how you can provide yourself with income in retirement. And it's something that you need to begin thinking about. The traditional approach of putting money into CDs, money into brokerage accounts, and just count on the dividends to support your lifestyle, frankly, isn't enough. You know that. So you have a choice. You either minimize the way you live today and just live off the dividends and interest and say, oh my gosh, goodness, I don't want to touch the principal. But gosh, if you don't touch the principal and you also have the value of your house, and how many people's houses are worth $19,900 today? Nobody's. You're passing on houses of $400,000, $500,000, $1 million, $1.5 million to some people, to your kids. That, along with all of your other assets, they get all this money. Oh, they'll be responsible with the money, right? Because they've shown you how responsible they've been while you were alive. And on top of that, all they did was beg for money while you were alive. You were the bank then, and you're the bank after you die. It's about time for you to start taking some money for yourself and using the bank for yourself. You deserve it. You deserve it. You've accumulated all this money. Unfortunately, there's a generation, and many of you are part of this generation, where you were taught to save for the future because you perhaps lived through the Depression era, or your parents lived through the Depression, and you knew you've got to protect, you've got to save, you've got to conserve. Well, that's important. It's important to have that, but you know what, folks? The rainy day is here. The rainy day is here. No one ever, Fidelity's got the greatest statement out there, I think. Fidelity said, everyone told me how important it was to save, but no one ever taught me how to spend. You need to empower yourself. You need to work with a financial advisor. You need to talk to the person you're working with so that you can create a strategy that teaches you, empowers you to spend some money. Well, I've got about a minute left, and I just wanted to give you a couple other thoughts before I run out. Like I said, our firm has been here in Peabody since 1968. We have 450 families that we serve today. We manage about $300 million for our clients collectively. But one of the things that we do that's rather unique is 65% of our clients take payouts from their investments. They need to take money from their accounts. We send out over $300,000 in checks every month. Some people take $200,000, some people need $10,000. It all depends. Everybody's different. But we take a very unique approach in building this retirement income strategy. If you'd like to learn some more about us, we've got information in the back. I can also encourage you, if you have an email or a website or whatever, or access to a web, or a computer, I should say, we put out a newsletter every Friday. It's a one-page newsletter called Planning Pointers. We send out over 4,500 newsletters every Friday. You go to my website, FreedmanFinancial.com. That's Freedman, 2 E's and a D, financial.com. You'll see all sorts of information about it. You can get it there. Sign up for our newsletter if you'd like. And finally, if you didn't know, tomorrow is the Topsfield Fair. Tomorrow starts the Topsfield Fair. Now, I've been working at the fair since I was 13 years old. There's a booth there called the B'nai B'rith booth. They serve the biggest hot dogs and knishes and hot pastrami sandwiches. It's been there for 55 years. This year, they've turned over the operations to me. Okay, so I'm in charge. I've been there. I was waiting for the food inspectors this morning at the Topsfield Fair to get everything signed off. If you happen to come to the Topsfield Fair this week, you swing by, you tell me that you saw me speak here, I'll buy you a hot dog. Biggest hot dogs you'll find at the fair. You tell me you saw me here, hot dogs on me. Thank you all very much.